Hey, what's going on, guys? You got TLR here, and it is time for our Week 12 battle of the PDL against Epic Gamer Kid and the Texas Excadrills. That's who we are playing for this final week of the first, the big bulk of this tournament. And right before we get into the top cut, just going to get the battle all set up, and let's just take one quick recap of the team we're bringing. We've got Gyarados, Clefable, Gengar, Tangela, Bronzong, and Zapdos. So a lot of bulky pivots on this team, stuff like Assault Vest, Zapdos, and Magic Guard, Clefable, uh, and physically defensive Bronzong. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff on this team. Hopefully we can catch him by surprise with some of our sets. And yeah, let's just lock in. Let the battle begin. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Alright, looks like he has selected his team. Let's see what he has brought. Okay, so he has brought all three of the genies. He's got Torn, Thundy, and Lando. He's also got the Charizard, the Sceptile, and the Alakazam. So a plethora of special attackers, which means Assault Vest, not Tangrowth. I keep wanting to say Tangrowth because that's it. Assault Vest Tangrowth is like OU standard. Assault Vest Zapdos can switch into a lot of these things. But the Lando is kind of scary. But I think we can set our Gyarados up on the Lando if we can intimidate it and it's not Sword Stance. So I really want to lead Bronzong, but I feel like he'll probably lead something that threatens Bronzong because he probably, I want to assume, expects my Bronzong to be the Stealth Rocker, so he want to lead something that won't let me get Stealth Rocks up. So I could see the Charizard lead or the Thundurus lead, and therefore I'm going to lead Zapdos, because Zapdos leads pretty well against both of those things. Like, obviously Tangela would probably be a better lead against the Thundurus, but this covers both the Charizard and the Thundurus to an extent, so that's why I'm going to do this. He could also just lead with Lando, but that's okay. Leads with Jet, and that is... Okay, Tornadus. He might have Taunt on it. Not like that matters too much, because I only have attacking moves. Now, he doesn't really threaten a lot of damage against me either, so I could easily see him switching out. If he does, I assume it would be into the Lando or the Sceptile. Now, I could just hidden power Ice, because that will not only do a good chunk to this Tornadus, but it will also do a decent chunk to either of those switch-ins. But mm, I could also U-turn. Those are my two options. If I U-turned, what would I U-turn into? Depending on what he switched in. He'll definitely switch in something that can take a Thunderbolt. So yeah, I'm just going to U-turn. No, he just goes for the Tailwind. Okay. That's fine. We are going to get on out of there. And let's go into our Clefable. So the Tailwind's not too big of a deal because, again, his team is so fast that it already pretty much outspeeds me. Unless he's not running a lot of speed investment on his Pokemon, but he probably at least outspeeds my Gyarados with all his Pokemon. So I could Thunder Wave here. I don't think he'll expect it, so I don't think he'll go into something that takes Thunder Wave. If anything, I think he'll go into Charizard. So yeah, I'm okay with Thunder Waving right here. Nope, he goes for the Taunt. Okay. So he does have the Taunt, like I expected. Uh, it's not too surprising that he went for it right there, but it was I could have easily gone for an attack, so that's why it was a little surprising. I'm going to knock off here. I don't expect him to stay in. And if he does, I get to knock off his item, and then I can probably switch right back out into Zapdos. Goes for the Hurricane. I avoid the attack, so yeah, that's one of the unfortunate parts of Hurricane. It is very inaccurate outside of the rain. So I'm going to switch right back into Zapdos here. Now that I know he has Tailwind and Taunt, he probably doesn't have knockoff, which means I'm okay with just staying in and Thunderbolting right here. The Tailwind does run out, but he's probably going to set it right back up. Yep. And we can actually just knock out this Tornadus. It wasn't like the biggest threat in the world, so getting rid of it isn't going to like help me a ton. But you know, just getting that extra lead 6-5 early on, we're going to be able to, he can't use that as a pivot anymore. Like if he wants to sack that thing to get a free switch into his Lando, he can't do that anymore. So that's good. All right, and in comes probably Alakazam. Nope, Sceptile. That's interesting. What is the Sceptile going to do? I don't know, but I think I'm going to U-turn. Because what U-turn does is I can basically see what it goes for and make my play accordingly. I also get a good chunk off of it, and so it goes for the Rock Slide. So it's either physical or mixed. This isn't going to do too much because, of course, Zapdos is just a bulky Pokemon. I flinch and can't move, but now that I know he's physical, he probably can't touch Tangela with anything. Like, it gets Leaf Blade, it gets Dragon Claw and Outrage, but those are non-stab, neutral effective hits. And then that Rock Slide's not going to do very much either. So Tangela should just be able to sit in here and tank hits for days, yeah. So he doesn't have any ice resists, however, it's not going to do too much to the Charizard if that switches in. So I'm tempted to go for a Stun Spore trying to catch that Charizard. I can't see him staying in. Also, if he tries to go to like Lando, like the only play that could work here if I go for a Stun Spore is Thundee, which doesn't threaten me too much and I can Leech Seed it. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Stun Spore here. He just goes for another Rock Slide, okay. And yep, Stun Spore is obviously not going to affect him. He does know I have the Stun Spore now, but that's not like too big of a deal. That just means he's not going to switch out into, he's either going to stay in and go for another attack or switch out into Thundurus. And both of those I can capitalize on by clicking Hidden Power Ice right here. Yep, this should do about 40%, I want to say. Yeah, 35 to 40%, so a clean 3-hit KO. And I'm just going to go for it again. He might switch out into Charizard here, but we still do have that Assault Vest Zapdos, so we're not in the worst position in the world. And it just goes for another Rock Slide. Now, one thing I am worried about is him getting a free switch in into Charizard. So what I'm actually going to do is go into Tangela here. He withdraws Sceptile into Charizard. Yeah, okay, so he actually doubles into Charizard right there. I was really wanting to not give that Charizard a free switch in, so I was going to set up Stealth Rock so it would have to lose 50%, but he actually just goes right into it. So I don't think it can knock me out in one hit, but Bronzong is very important for walling that the Lando, right? This is my primary Lando switch in. So I'm going to switch right into our Zapdos. This can also show us if he's Specs or not, based on how much this does. Yeah, that doesn't look like Specs. So he could probably switch up moves here, but I don't think that matters too much because it doesn't look like he can go for any move that can one-hit KO me. Or not one-hit KO me, but KO me from this range. So I should just be able to click a Thunderbolt here and either get damage off on something, or he can go to Landorus. But if he goes to Landorus, he can't set up because I do have the Hidden Power Ice that guarantees the knockout. Um, if it's not bulky. He goes to Tigerth. So, yep, that's Lando. And, yep, Thunderbolt obviously isn't going to affect it. Hmm. Honestly, I think he's going to go for Stealth Rocks. I'm going to go for the Hidden Power Ice here because I think one thing. Oh, he does actually just go for the Rock Slide. I was going to say the one move I don't expect him to make is to go straight for an attack, but he decides to do that. That's fine. I'm going to lose Zapdos here, which isn't like optimal. Obviously, Zapdos does do well against his team, but it does give me a free switch into Gyarados, which now this thing is going to be intimidated, which is very dangerous for him. Um, I don't have to stay in. The one thing I'm worried about is that Alakazam because I need 2 Dragon Dances to knock out the Alakazam. Not knock out the Alakazam, but rather outspeed the Alakazam. Although Alakazam can't knock me out in one hit, but it can probably knock me out after damage from Lando. So I don't know if it's Choice. It obviously could be Choice Scarf, but since I'm not running any speed on Zapdos, I couldn't. I'm tempted to just go for the Ice Fang and knock this thing out, but I might not have another chance to Dragon Dance up. I'm gonna hope. I don't have to hope he's choiced because obviously if he's not choiced, it's not the end of the world. But if he is choiced, then that's optimal for me because then I can get up 2 Dragon Dances. So it goes for another Rock Slide. Still doesn't tell us if he's choiced or not because Orlando is naturally faster than Gyarados. We get the Dragon Dance up. And yeah, after this we'll find out if he's Choice Scarf because if he's Choice Scarf, he'll still outspeed my Gyarados. So I'm going to go for one more Dragon Dance. I do think he's going to switch out here as opposed to staying in and going for another Rock Slide, even if he is Choice Scarf, just because I think he needs to preserve this Intimidate to stop a potential Gyarados sweep. Because if he doesn't get the flinch right, if he didn't get the flinch there, if he was Choice Scarf and he didn't get the flinch, then it was just over. So he's playing smart, preserving that Intimidate, so I can't snowball with this Gyarados. Switches into Charizard, so I assume he decided his Charizard was the least necessary member of his team, and he's sending this into Sackett. Yep. Or it could be Sash, but I don't think so. Yeah. So the Charizard is going to go down there, and in probably comes the Lando again. Maybe. Nope, the Sceptile. This Sceptile could also be Sash, but it's already been chipped. So yeah, I can just click Crunch here. I don't think Scarf outspeeds me at +2. Well, we do outspeed it, so it's either not Scarfed or we do outspeed Scarf Sceptile at +2 with our spread. So in comes the Thundurus. Thundurus might be able to live. I like if it has some bulk investment, it probably can live. Do I need Gyarados anymore though? He has Landorus, Thundurus, and Alakazam left, and I have Clefable. Which has the Spidef to live Alakazam's hits, so that's a pretty decent check. Tangela can check Thundurus, and Bronzong can check the Lando. So I'm just going to go for the Ice Fang here. He goes for the Thunder Wave. Unfortunately, because Gyarados is a Dark type now, it can no longer be affected by Prankster moves, which is an incredible buff for it. But yeah, the Ice Fang is going to be able to pick up the knockout there at +2. And I don't think there's much he can do at this point because basically what he would have to do is pivot, go into Lando, pivot into Alakazam, sack the Alakazam, and then pivot back into this, knock me out, and then his Lando has to 1v4 the rest of my team. So, yeah, I can click Waterfall here because that'll knock out the Alakazam on the switch, and it'll knock out the Landers if he stays in. So he actually decides to stay in. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty much over. I can't think of a way. Like, especially if it was choice locked Landers, which by the way he was playing it, I think it was. I do think it was choice scarfed by the way he was playing it. And yeah, if he would have to lock himself into a move, and there was not a single move he could lock himself into that could beat the rest of my team. Not even Rock Slide. Rock Slide would unfortunately run out of PP before it could flinch down the rest of my team. So yeah, we can just click Crunch here, knock out the Alakazam. And that is going to be good game to my opponent. That's going to finish up the final week. Well, let's just make sure this KOs. I don't even think Max Defense Alakazam could live this. Oh, he does have Protect. Okay. So he has Protect to um, Scout, I guess. Scout or safely get up the Mega Evolution is possible. Or, I'm trying to think, because obviously he has Trace. So if he has Protect, he can safely copy an ability and then make use of that. But I'm trying to think of any abilities he would want to copy. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's probably why it was there. But yeah, Crunch It, yep, just knocks out the Alakazam. That's going to finish up the final week of the. I always want to call it Swiss because in a VGC tournament, the rounds before Top Cut are called Swiss rounds. So that's just what I'm going to call it. That's going to finish up the final Swiss round of the PDL. We went 11-1, I believe. Two of our opponents had to forfeit, not because they didn't believe they could win, but rather because they did not have the time to prepare, which is unfortunate, but it was their decision, not mine, and I didn't want to overstep my boundaries and say, hey man, you got to do this battle. I guess that's not very important right now. Great game to my opponent. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys. I don't know when Top Cut starts. It could be next weekend. It could be in a couple weekends. But whenever it starts, I will see you then. And yeah, goodbye for now.